Hi, good day, and welcome to another edition of the Parent Portal Podcast. Now, the Parent Portal Podcast is a digital audio series sponsored by the SRC Private Primary School as a platform to give moms and dads practical parenting tips that would help them navigate through supporting their child's development. I am Alina Lewis, principal at SRC Private Primary, and joining me today is Ms Alicia Halls, lead consultant at ALEMACSS Associates. Now, of course, ALEMACSS Associates supports individual and family life through counseling and coaching services, and they could be contacted by searching for ALEMACSS and AND, ALEMACSS Associates, on any of the social media platforms or through your typical Google search. So, of course, issuing my formal welcome, Ms. Halls. Welcome today.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lewis. I'm glad to be here.
And it is good, as it always is, when you're able to join in with me for these discussions. And today, we want to talk about something that is essential. Essential is a word that's going around a lot these days, Miss?
Yes.
An essential topic, navigating through times of crisis. Because indeed, it feels like a time of crisis going on these days. And we really want to use today's podcast as a way of helping parents to brainstorm and think through and understand, so that the feelings of being overwhelmed and so on, we could help parents to be able to minimize. Yeah?
Yep.
So even as we jump in, my first question for you, pulling from your background, is what really is a crisis? When you think about a crisis, what are we talking about?
Okay, generally speaking, when we look at what is a crisis is an intense difficulty or danger. As it relates to what we are going through now, we are seeing that not just locally but globally, the world is facing some sort of crisis with this pandemic.
Yeah.
And we are going through a global difficult time, as well as individuals may be facing challenges and crises in their own homes. And in times of crisis, we need to realize that important decisions have to be made.
Yeah.
And based on those decisions, it could speak to life, death, intensification of the danger, or it can speak to a calm, coping skills, how we manage ourselves during this time and how we navigate ourselves could speak to a lot of things.
Yeah. So we're talking about crisis, and if we were to think about right now and we were to ask ourselves, what is the present reality? The present reality right now carries a name.
Yes.
And for now, we're calling it COVID-19.
COVID-19.
The coronavirus, or
Yeah.
the novel coronavirus. I believe it's the World Health Organization that has labeled it COVID-19, COVID-19, so that we could identify the specific experience of coronavirus that we're dealing with. And when we start thinking about the coronavirus, we start thinking about this virus that is more than just your seasonal influenza. It has gone way past that, but now we seem to be having an experience where there is a virus that is transmitted through small respiratory droplets. When people sneeze, they cough, when they interact with each other in close proximity, and when we inhale, we take in these droplets through our mouth, our nose, our eyes, and so on. It causes rapid spread and it infects. And what we're seeing is that not only is it infecting, not only is it making persons sick, but you're having deaths as a result of it.
Yeah.
So even right now, it's no longer a thing that is down the road or a thing that is on another continent, but whereas it would have started on another continent, our experience here in Trinidad and Tobago is that it is with us here.
And that is our present reality, because I think a lot of people are still in denial. You know, a lot of people would say God is a Trinidadian and we are protected and whatnot.
Right.
We have to be mindful as to what our beliefs are,
Yeah.
as well as what is reality. And I know some of us prefer to be very optimistic during this time, and that's okay if that is what takes you from one point to the next. It's better than being pessimistic, but also we need to be realistic, because at the end of the day, this pandemic is a worldwide fatality. And you know, Ms. Lewis would have highlighted some of the points there with regards to the close proximity. We need to be mindful of what it is. What is that? What does she mean by that? Is it that standing next to somebody I would automatically get COVID-19? No, it's not that. It's that if the virus is prevalent and if it's in the air, the reality is, if you are close to somebody who is infected, you can become infected as well.
And I think another part that, should I say, qualifies under crisis for this COVID-19 experience that we're having is the fact that there is no known cure to date. So here it is, as I believe we are all now aware that we're presented with this global pandemic, as we are referring to it, and there is no known cure. Of course, many points are identified in terms of how we could minimize the spread, but we're dealing with this thing for which there is no known cure, and the national, the international response is stay home. And that in itself is a crisis for many, because here it is, not only is revenue generation and potential income, your ability to pay bills and pay for the things that need to be paid for in life, not only is that being affected, but so too our routine and what we know as normal can create, and I know you're going to speak on this, that different sense of normalcy, that it has been completely been disrupted and not everybody knows how to handle. So even as we go forward in the discussion, what can you share with our listeners to help them understand in the midst of all of this, how we could maintain composure, maintain sanity for some of us, and be able to move forward? Help us to break this thing down.
You know, I'm glad that you talked about that whole individual crisis that some persons are going through, because we need to be mindful that there's a backlash, there's a trickle effect, there's an after effect. Ms. Lewis would have alluded to the fact that, you know, we have that whole economic factor that businesses are facing, individuals are facing, getting money to go to the grocery, getting money to do things that you would do on a normal basis. We also have the fact that a lot of people don't know what to do with themselves at home. Right. Yes, we are telling people they need to stay home, but if your routine has been getting up 5 o'clock in the morning, going to catch transport to go to your place of employment, if you are accustomed hanging out with your friends when it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 7, your normalcy has been disrupted. Yeah. And it is not something personal against you. We are facing a global crisis. How do you as an individual maintain a healthy composure? How do you sit and navigate yourself and say, okay, what is happening? We already highlighted 2 major points, which is first realizing and understanding this is what it is. Mm-hmm. And be clear in your mind as to what it is. It is a virus. I can be affected. My government or the persons in power have put strategies in place, and one of the main strategies, we are hearing it every day, everywhere, stay at home. We are also hearing they talk about washing your hands. We are hearing that term that has become very popular, social distancing.
And now physical distancing, miss.
And now physical distancing. Yeah. So we are hearing those things repeatedly, and we need to be mindful that, okay, so this is what it is, and this is what I can do.
Yes.
Because as Ms. Lewis rightly said, there's no cure at the moment. There's treatment, And we have evidence that people are getting better after the treatment.
In some
In
instances.
some instances.
Yes.
But when we looked at the ratio in those developed countries as to the persons who have gotten better to the persons who has died, wow.
Yeah.
So we need to be mindful what it is going on, what is the present reality, what can I do? And I need you to empower yourself with that statement, what can I do? Going it over again, stay at home, social distancing, maintain hygiene, and in addition to that, a healthy mental composure would help you navigate yourself at this time or in any crisis, as a matter of fact.
Miss, allow me to ask a question. You're using the term healthy mental composure, but let's take the position of the person who say, I don't know what that means. Could you break that down a bit further to really help our listeners understand when you talk about a healthy mental exposure, what you're referring to?
Healthy mental composure. At the end of the day, our mental state is part of who we are. And we have to be mindful that in this time of crisis, there are triggers to affect our mental state. Just as how we are looking at C19 affecting our bodies physically, one of the consequences of being, let us, as one person put it to me, feeling trapped inside their own home. I mean, that and I understand when a person say that they feel trapped in their own home. I may not agree with it because as some persons are introvert, I myself as an introvert and I love my home. There are persons who, to them, that is so difficult.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage persons who are dwelling on, first of all, I want to advise you to know your strengths and your weaknesses. Know your triggers. Know mentally what gets you upset, what gets you, and the thing about COVID-19 with regards to other crisis, we are going through this on a daily basis and we don't know when it will end. So we have enough time to stop and think.
Yeah.
We have enough time to stop and reflect. We have enough time to ask ourselves some questions and get to understand who we are. So one of the things that could help with your mental state is knowing who you are. And knowing here what, you know what? I never knew this before, but a lot of noise irritates me.
Right.
I never knew this before, but complete silence gets under my skin.
And that could be significant in understanding why we respond to
Exactly.
certain types of situations that we do, whether positive or negative.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, a lot of times people would say, well, I don't know, I am just, this is just toxic for me, I don't know what is going on, and they would blame other people without understanding this is who I am and this is what affects me. So knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, being aware of what are the resources we have out there.
Okay.
And I'm talking about human resource. We also have Ms. mentioned earlier with regards to our essential services that are still open and still available in terms of we have pharmacies, supermarkets,
doctors' offices.
We also have a lot of things going on online in terms of people offering counseling, people offering academic support online.
Yes, because I know Miss even through ALEMACSS Associates, you'll have been extending yourself by offering a free counseling session for persons who book their appointment with you that they could access over the phone, yes?
Yes, we have been.
We will definitely share that number at the end of the podcast.
At the end of the podcast. So there are resources, even in this constricted environment, there are resources that are available. In terms of if you are mindful of, okay, I can't stay home. I can't spend that time alone. Some of us who are alone, it might feel like if the walls are closing in on me. Sometimes we need to take a walk in our environment, outside our backyard, go to the back, sit down on the outside of the closed doors, not interacting with anybody, but interacting with ourselves in terms of doing a crossword puzzle, engaging in some conversation over the phone with somebody who you haven't spoken to in years. This is a good opportunity because I'm sure you are home, they are home.
Right.
Right? For those of us who believe that praying is part of our life, this is an opportunity to spend time talking to God.
Right.
So it does not necessarily mean that you are cut off from society because everybody is going through this. But you have to find ways and means to do things to engage yourself.
Yes, I think doing things to re-engage your family as well, because I know, for example, through Student Remediation Center, next week we have our 21-day challenge that's coming, and it's called Family Reset, because we know that a lot of persons would have come to realize in this time that they may have lost touch a bit more than they thought with their spouse, with their child. Now that they're home, you're together, everybody's in each other's face, realize that, oh, I can't miss some things. I don't know you as much as I thought I did, or the conversation is not as natural as I thought it would flow, or we have less in common than I thought. And it's because on a day-to-day basis, our lives are so far apart in terms of what we do, what we're involved in, that I know that, and you all could look out for that through the SRC Private Primary Facebook page. We're going to be going through our 21-day challenge for families called Family Reset, because things like that, while some of the work can be done individually, whether through prayer, journaling, sitting, meditation, whatever, and I think on another element, part of the work can be done in attempting to reconnect with loved ones, whether it's through the phone or like how SRC has the challenge that we're doing. You do a 21-day challenge to engage with your family members more, or some other option. It really is a great time in terms of maintaining your composure and rebuilding and reconnecting. It doesn't have to all be perceived as bad and horrible, because there are great things that could come out of this time.
Exactly, and I think that is one of the things that we try to encourage people, because again, as you rightly said, Ms. Lewis, a lot of times our daily schedule does not allow us to spend time with our loved ones.
Yeah.
And this is the opportunity here, in addition to self-discovery and reflection and praying, we need to also be mindful of there are things that you can do with your family. Cook a meal, have a meal.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of families
that
who
don't eat together.
Yeah. When you look at mommy's schedule and daddy's schedule and the children's schedule, they don't eat together. So this is an opportunity where you can have a meal together, where you can learn a skill together, build something.
Yes.
Right? This is an opportunity where you can be creative in terms of for those of you who have things in your house to fix and paint that you have this. Do you know that their hardware is open? You can get a tin of paint, and not encouraging you all to go outside, but let it be an emergency in terms of getting your mental state all together. Get a tin of paint. You and your son may need to paint a door, to paint a wall, to put a cupboard together. Things that you have been procrastinating and meaning to do. You can either get it done alone or include your family members.
Yes, because for example, I'm chatting with a friend recently, and I made a joke, and I say, well, girl, I guess you finally have time to do that home garden. Because we've been talking about for years about you should do a home garden. You have the space, you have the everything. Why don't you do a home garden?
Exactly.
And she would say, girl, my home garden started. I started it. It's done. And it's such a great time and a rich time that we want to emphasize, because, sometimes when we start to talk about doing things, Ms. Halls, sometimes the first thought in a person's mind is, I can't afford it. I don't have money to. But not everything is based on money.
Yeah.
Because if you were to go outside, and even if you didn't have the seedlings, but at a minimum, you prep the space and it
Yeah.
becomes something that the father does with the child, or the mommy does with the child, or mommy and daddy do together, whatever it is. Or we look at a room in the house that maybe the storage room where we just kind of throw everything over the years.
Exactly. A good
And we
time to
say,
sort clothes,
yes.
you know.
And we say, you know what, we're tackling that room tomorrow. You don't need any money to do that.
No.
And you build your family relationship because everybody's coming together to do something. And I think in life, in every situation, you know, there is that half full, half empty notion. Yes, we know that this is a very difficult time for us all.
It is.
But at the same time, we don't have to only sit and be defeated, but there's a space in maintaining that mental composure, create a new normal that would spike something positive when it's all over.
Because let me tell you something, if you allow yourself to stay and be depleted, chances are that after COVID-19 you will discover a lot more illnesses in your body than before that are not directly related to the virus. But when you talk about stress, and you talk about anxiety, and you talk about panic attack, and you even talk about some forms of cancer, because of the fact that you are so consumed. And I want to encourage people to be mindful as well. You know, one of the things, somebody messaged me and say, oh my God, I have found a new friend in my fridge.
Okay.
We need to be mindful about overeating at this point in time too, because at the end of the day, a lot of people probably is going to come out of COVID-19 with diabetes, or with a lot of extra pounds.
Yeah,
so we need to be mindful as to what it is we are using to alleviate some of the stress.
Because, you know, knowing that we were, I mean, the country has not put us on lockdown, I have put me on lockdown.
Right.
And knowing that, you know, my family and I were not coming out, we're not leaving the house. When we did our grocery shopping and stuff the last time we went, I made a conscious decision, no sodas, no juices. I think I probably bought one juice, the 1 liter. No sodas, no juices. I bought some snacks, but it was limited.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, like, because my mind started racing, oh my gosh, I should get ice cream, and I should get this, and I should get that. And I'm like, no, because what is going to be the state of our health after? When we're done? And I purposefully did not buy any, and I knew that I would miss it. I knew that I would crave it. And I knew that we're not going to have any, so Alina, you're going to drink water.
Exactly.
And that is what I've been doing. I have been drinking my water. I have been adjusting, because it's so easy, as you say, to find those friends in the fridge. Miss, I can tell you, I have no friends in the fridge.
Exactly.
All these people in the fridge watching me with green, straight faces, like, come cook me if you really want me.
Exactly.
And
no, and
there's no overindulgence in my house.
And the thing about it is, there are words that you would hear me be repeating. We need to be mindful of who we are.
Yes.
We need to be mindful of what is our comfort zone, and our strengths and our weakness. And in saying that, I want to say an additional point to maintaining that healthy mental composure is striving for some routine.
Yeah.
I am not saying to put this, because you're already feeling like you're locked down, you can't go here and can't do this freely. I am not saying to put yourself on no big structured routine where you have to do this and have to. You have 24 hours in a day. Make sure that you get sleep in.
Yeah.
Make sure that you get some form of exercise in.
Yes.
Make sure that you get your eating properly. If you are snacking, you need to manage, okay, so we'll have at least, let us say, 3 snacks today, and that is it. That's the cutoff point. Not to eat out the whole tub of ice cream from the fridge. So you put yourself on that routine. One of the nicest things that we can do during this time is to learn something new.
Yes.
Whether it be a new language,
yes,
whether it be a new skill, whether it be download something on your phone that you know you never thought, a new app to help you learn something new. So this can be a time of learning. And at the end of the day, when we incorporate all of this into this crisis, we are able to look at COVID-19 as, here what? During this time, yes, we would have gone through this negative event. However, out of this time, I had a unplanned vacation and I learned this skill. My family and I grew closer together. I was able to complete this task. I was able to speak to my aunt, to my uncle, my cousin in another part of the world that I have not spoken to in a long while. I was able to do something that I was planning to do for the longest while.
Yes.
And with that, we would find somebody, I'm not talking about happiness and joy and excitement, but I'm talking about a healthy mental state that can help us recover after this and can also bring us to the point where we get through this in one piece.
Definitely. So even as we bring the curtains down on this discussion of navigating through times of crisis, we want to remind you that when we talk about navigating through times of crisis, the big picture is we want to be able to maintain our composure as we go through. We will overcome. You know, I remember an old adage, nothing is forever. You know, and the old people would say nothing is for forever, nothing will last forever. It will come to an end at some point, and once we position ourselves to remain resilient, we will come through. And I think that that healthy mental composure is a huge part of that, remaining resilient in the midst of a difficult time. And just to remind our listeners that as we come to a close, we want you to keep in mind, in maintaining a healthy composure, you want to take time to discover and rediscover you, learn yourself in a new way. You want to take this time, we encourage you, develop relationships with your family, with friends, reconnect with persons, whether in your home or through the phone or online. You want to maintain a sense of routine, so you could either maintain some level of normal or create a new type of normal for yourself in this time, and challenge yourself to learn a new skill, so that at the end of it you could come out having grown and evolved as a person in your mental spaces, in your skill sets. And we want to encourage you to keep this in mind, and definitely after this podcast is over, we're going to be sure to share some links for different sites that you could consider visiting, so that you can be aware of your present reality. You can be aware of resources that are available, and it is our hope that these would help you. So Ms. Halls, even as we close, do you have any final words to share with our listeners?
I really want to encourage those of us who are taking this extremely hard and looking at the bigger picture with regards to our finances, with regards to our loved ones who are not close to us, with regards to the outcome of all of this. I really want to encourage us that, as Ms. Lewis said, nothing lasts forever. This too shall pass, and in your mind, even through this time, look at how you can rebuild, if not restart. Continue from where you left off before all of this. Do not, I'm asking you to be a realist. Do not be so pessimistic that you get into a state of depression. Be mindful that you have the strength to overcome difficulties, and you have done certain things on your own. Now you are part of a global community. And I believe that there are going to be opportunities at the end of COVID-19. You may need to research, how can I rebuild? How can I go beyond this crisis? I encourage you, do not only look at it as a gloom and doom, but what can I learn and what can I gain from this experience?
Definitely. So, as a reminder, we want to provide the number, Ms. Halls, that persons can call to touch base if they, just need to have that touch in to have someone to talk to, what number can they reach out to?
Okay, so during this stay-at-home period, we have the number 287-8075. I want to say that again, 287-8075. And that number is for ALEMACSS Associates, and it's specifically for those of you who need some clarity, need someone to speak to, feeling a bit down, feeling a bit confused, need to figure out what is going on with regards to what is available there in the form of social services, what is available there in the form of getting a counselor online and stuff like that. ALEMACSS Associates will have some information for you and be able to talk you through, help you navigate your way and figure out some things.
Yeah, and for those parents who are at this stage recognizing the need for a more strategic, almost medium-term type of support for children when it comes to making sure their education continues while we are in this time of only essential services being open, please feel free to reach out to Victoria Literacy Center. You can use the number 2721987 to learn more about their e-learning online study program that provides a full suite of school learning experience for students. So as usual, it was great. We thank you so much for tuning into this edition of the Parent Portal podcast, where we discussed navigating through crisis. I am Alina Lewis, principal at SRC Private Primary, and having joined in today was Alicia Halls from ALEMACSS Associates. So we wish you all the best as you navigate through. We encourage you to remain resilient, remain with a positive mindset, and remain determined to come out better than COVID met you. It is possible, and we encourage you in all things to use this time to become your better self, and for your family relationship to be heightened as we all band together to make it through. Please remember, stay in touch with official sources for updates about COVID-19 here in Trinidad and Tobago, whether you reach out through the Office of the Prime Minister or the Ministry of Health website or Facebook pages, so we can all remain informed and take the necessary action as we band together to overcome the present challenge that is COVID-19. We thank you for listening, and we wish you all the best. Until next time, take care of yourselves.